All right, we're going to open the 4 images on the Google Classroom. You'll need to download each of those first. You're just going to drag a box around those 4, the woman, the fog, the graveyard, and the moon. Just open them all up at once. We're going to start with the moon here. We're going to use the magic wand, which is right here. We're going to select the outside. We're going to press the backspace key on our keyboard to delete all the rest. Then we're going to do select all. We want the whole thing selected, not just that part. And we're going to go up here to adjustments. We're going to look at color balance. We want this to look kind of like a red moon, so we're going to up the red some. We might play around with these other ones, see if we want to change those at all. Might look at shadows, change that a little bit. Be careful, or we're going to end up with a pink or purple moon. I'm going to make this a little bit bright, and then we're going to darken it here in a minute, so that'll be okay. Something kind of like that. We're going to apply that. We're going to do another adjustment here. We're going to go to brightness and contrast. I'll lower the brightness some. And increase the contrast. I'm going to look at vibrance too. I don't know if we're going to do anything with that or not. Yeah, we might increase just a little bit. So we're getting something like that. We're just wanting a dark red here. Once we get that, we're going to go to Edit, Copy, or you can press Control-C. And we're going to go over to our graveyard. And we're going to press Control-V. And that's a little big. So we're going to make this smaller here. So I'm using this arrange tool, and then you can drag it by the handles at the top. And something like that. We're going to go to our background layer here. We need to fix this some. We need to go to adjustment again, and we're going to go to color balance. I'm going to mess with this a little bit. We're actually going to come back to this in a second. Let's look at brightness and contrast first. Let's lower this brightness quite a bit. We'll leave the contrast how it is. We'll look at vibrance. We'll lower that a little bit. And now let's go back to color balance. We're wanting this to look more like night instead of day, how it was originally. So we want it to look a little bit more bluish. That's looking better. So something kind of like that. So you can kind of see on midtones, I lowered the green some, I raised the blue, red I pretty much left where it was. Shadows I didn't really do much, and then highlights I raised the green a little bit and lowered the red a little bit and raised the blue just a little bit. Apply that. Look at brightness and contrast again. See if I want to do anything else. I think I'm going to lower it. There we go. I'm going to lower the brightness a little bit more, raise the contrast a little bit more. So something like that. It doesn't have to look exactly like mine, but you're just wanting to look more like night instead of bright day. And we're going to do a couple things to make it look even better here in a second. So that looks okay for now. We're going to go to this woman here. We're going to first get rid of this word here. We don't want that on our image. So I'm going to use this clone tool. To select the source, we press Shift, or click, I guess, the first time. and then we can just kind of draw over it. So what the clone stamp tool does is it selects one area. You hold shift to click on it, and then it just kind of copies that area to another. So you got to find something that looks pretty similar. So you don't want another face down here or something weird. You just hold shift and click next to the area that you're wanting that's kind of similar color, and kind of paint over that. And there's some other stuff here, but for what we're doing, you're not going to see all this stuff, so it doesn't really matter that much. We're going to try a new tool. We're going to try the magnetic lasso tool. We could do this all with the polygon, but this might speed it up a little bit. And so the magnetic, you click, and you just kind of trace as close as you can. And it kind of automatically looks for similar colors to kind of help you stay in a line. So watch me go outside just a little bit, but it kind of popped right back in. So it messed up a little bit there, but that's okay. So it's kind of like just a regular lasso tool, except it helps you a little bit. It tries to tell what you're wanting to select, and tries to make you not mess up. So I'm just going to go and try to trace. For what we're doing, this doesn't have to be perfect. We're going to end up turning her into a ghost. So all the details don't have to be great. They need to be better than that, though. I just kind of messed up. So we're going to get a rough outline using the magnetic. Then I'm going to go back to the polygon tool. And I need to add some stuff to the selection, and I need to remove some stuff. So I'm going to start with add, which I can click this, or I can hold shift if I wanted to. I need this part of our shoulder here, so I'm going to click. Just going to go back and get that part I missed. And this is all already selected, so I'm just make a rough loop inside here. I need to get some of her dress I messed up on. So once I get the outside part, I can make a rough loop. And I need to remove some stuff from selection now. So I can click on this, or I could have held control. What's the other option? So I'm going to go through here and clean up some of the stuff that I selected too much of that I don't want. So I don't want this part down here. I don't want this little part, but that probably wouldn't have been a big deal. Oops. Control Z if you mess up. Oh, so I got over here on new selection. This was messing me up. So I need to get back on to remove from selection. And you're wanting something like that. It doesn't have to be perfect. I might want just a little bit more of her hand, though. All right, so something kind of like this is what we're going for. We're going to copy her, so we'll Control C, and we're going to go back to our graveyard and paste her in with Control. Didn't copy. Control C, Control V. There we go. And we're going to shrink her down. She's a little big. And I'm going to put her right here. I want her hand kind of on top of this and in front of this one. I'm going to come over here to this layer. She should be on top. I'm going to click on the little three dots. I'm going to come lower her opacity. I'm going to lower it quite a bit to start off with. I'm going to end up increasing it here in a second. But I want to be able to see this tombstone behind her pretty good. I'm going to go back to the polygon tool, and I'm going to try to make her look like she's behind this tombstone here. So I'm going to kind of go around this tombstone right here with the polygon tool. All right, so I'm going to make sure I have her layer selected. I'm going to press delete. to make it look like she's behind that. And I'm gonna cut off the bottom of her dress here because that's gonna mess with the effect if I don't. So I'm just gonna cut it off to right here. Press delete. All right, I'm gonna up her opacity or transparency some. I'll make her right about there. So she's a little bit see-through, but not all the way. I'm going to select all so I can work on this. I'm going to come to my eraser tool, which is right here. And that's a little big. Make it a little bit smaller. And I'm going to put the opacity at about 25 or somewhere around 20, 24 is close enough. And I'm just going to erase her. I'm just holding my mouse down. I just did one little pass. And now I'm kind of holding it down again, especially here at the bottom. I'm clicking. Each time you click, it makes another, or just a little bit more transparent. So something kind of like that. I might actually raise her transparency a little bit. So you can kind of play around it to get to where you want. All right. Now we're going to get this fog here. So we're going to do select all on this and copy and come back to our graveyard and paste it in. And we're going to use the arrange tool and we're going to make it take up the whole screen here. So I'm going to hold down shift so I can stretch it out. So if I hold down shift, it's not going to stay in that same aspect ratio. It's going to let me stretch it however I want. So I'm going to cover up the whole screen with this. I'm going to lower the transparency a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to come to my eraser tool, which is right here. I'm going to start with it all the way back up. Or maybe not all the way. I'll say 70%. I'll make this quite a bit bigger. Not that big. That looks good. So I'm going to start I don't want any fog right here, so I'm going to just kind of get all the fog off the top here. I want it in the sky, but I don't want it, or I don't want much of it right here. I don't want much of it in front of the tree either, so I'm going to kind of take away that. So the more you click, the more it erases. Now I'm going to lower my opacity to about 30%. And then I'm going to come and take off some of this fog. And now I'm kind of clicking and making it, just doing like little lines here. So it'll be foggier in some areas, but not as much. I'm going to do the same thing with the sky. I'm just going to make some lines through the sky here. I'm clicking and dragging to take away some of this fog. I'm going to up the transparency here some, so now that I can see what I'm doing. And now I'm going to just kind of clean this up some. I'm going to lower my opacity some more to about 15. And now I'm just kind of cleaning this up a little bit to get rid of the bright white areas. And I'm going to end with something about like that. So play around with the fog as much as you want until you get it looking how you think it should. And once you do, you're going to save this, turn it in. The requirements are the moon needs to be a little bit red. You need to have this fog in parts of the image, especially on the ground here. She needs to be transparent, so you can obviously see through it right there. And that's it. Oh, and the sky needs you made it look darker, you made it look more like night instead of like day, like it originally looked. So this is what it originally looked like. So that's a pretty big difference there. All right, so save it, turn it into a Google Classroom. These default options here are fine.